Hey y'all, how's it going? It's Mia, welcome back. And every day I wake up and I get on the internet and I read a new piece of news. I don't know how the internet manages to do that, just find new news every day, but it's quite miraculous. And right now, what's been really at the forefront of my mind, living rent-free unfortunately, is the state of the DCEU and the state of Warner Brothers. And I don't know if anyone has had this opinion before, but I'm a little afraid for the DCEU. I'm a little afraid for Warner Brothers. I might be the first person to have expressed this on the internet, but no, it's just like every day there's something new. And last time, of course, we had our big discussion about Batgirl, how I thought it was the dumbest decision in the entire world for the new DCEU management, or Warner Brothers management rather, to just completely dump the Batgirl movie. Yeah. And so now let's just jump into what else they have been doing under new management with Discovery. So this one really this may as well just be comedy hour, folks. This one really gets me. Pennyworth really wants you to know it's a show about Batman's butler. What's in a name? Well, I'll tell you. So Pennyworth has been airing for 2 seasons on Epic's channel, and now it's moving to HBO Max. So when season 3 comes out, here's the kicker. The new title will be called Pennyworth, The Origin of Batman's Butler. Oh my god. I don't think this needs much explaining beyond the fact that it just sounds cuckoo. It's like, it sounds like, how dumb do you think your audience is? It's a little insulting, to be fair. And it's like, if you're the audience for this, you know what Pennyworth is about. You've probably heard of it. It's going to be on your radar. Or if it's on HBO Max, it's probably going to be getting far more promotion than it ever did on Epix. The other part of that is the origins of Batman's butler, really? It's just that, how uninspiring is that? How boring is that? The origins of the guy who makes Bruce Wayne's toast and tea in the morning. The origins of the guy who once trained Batman in Taekwondo when he was 7. It just sounds so bad. So if they decide to dump this, I'll be happy about that, but just what is going on here? So then the other thing that is a whole can of worms, which we've talked about constantly, and it's amazing that we're still talking about this, that Ezra Miller Flash movie is still going to be released in theaters. There's some crazy stuff going on behind the scenes apparently, but it just keeps getting worse, unfortunately, for them. And this part I don't mean to laugh at. It is just it's just so unbelievable. So Ezra Miller's saga now involves Vermont's Child Services Department. Vermont officials are concerned Ezra Miller is shielding the whereabouts of a mother and her 3 kids at the actor's farm, saying their safety cannot be reasonably assured. That ain't good. And so apparently what's been going on here is that I guess Warner Brothers is trying to do some damage control, so to speak, because with this new management, I suppose their focus is on having all of their DC stuff be tentpole films, be on the theater, be the cinematic experience. And so, they would rather die than have to put something on HBO Max, or at least a film for that matter, on their streaming service. And so I guess they've got this big idea in their head that, well, at least according to Hollywood Reporter, there's 3 possible things that can happen with this to try to save the Flash and to try to save Ezra Miller's butt. Really only 2, and then the third option is just death. So first, what the Hollywood Reporter says is Warner Brothers is considering having Ezra Miller seek professional help, and they could give an interview at some point about their erratic behavior over the past few years, and then they would do limited press for the Flash movie, and the movie would open in cinemas as planned. Second scenario is if Miller doesn't reach out for help, Warner Brothers would still release the film, but they don't expect Miller to play a prominent role in terms of marketing publicity, nor would Miller be the Flash going forward. Yeah, duh. as the role would be recast in future projects. And then the third situation, if the situation deteriorates with Miller further, which I think we're past that point, man. This would see Warner's killing the movie outright because it can't be reshot. He plays multiple characters, and so yeah, scrapping a $200 million film would be an unprecedented move. I really don't know how I feel about either of these plans working, because for the movie to be scrapped, I think that is a bit much, because as I've already said before, scrapping Batgirl was already a terrible plan. I do think that Ezra Miller needs some help. I don't think, any person of sound mind goes around harassing people, like it's a world tour from Hawaii to Vermont and Iceland or Germany. That's just, it's not normal, so they do need help. I'm not a professional. I'm not here to give out professional advice, but beyond that, I don't quite know if they are needing to be the one to promote this film. I think at this rate, Ezra Miller just needs to step all the way back. Just turn down the role of the Flash. I think it's over. I think it's pretty much over. This has been dead upon arrival at this point. And as I've been championing, put Michael Keaton at the forefront of this movie. Let him promote it. Let some of the other side characters promote it. I don't care if they say 2 lines. Let them promote it. But, at the end of the day, I think that if Ezra were to go ahead and promote this, and then the movie comes out and the Flash is really cool and everybody loves Barry Allen again, it's gonna kind of wash away some of that other stuff that we're talking about today. So, I am a person who likes to forgive, who likes to see people grow. I don't just hold grudges, harass them forever or give them heck forever. But at this point, I think it's just like, it's time to just turn it all the way down. And then if that's not enough, DCEU is also moving into another reset. Wow. Thank you, David Zaslav. Wow, this is exactly what DCU has been needing. Okay, let me just read the quote here. So this was at their, they kind of had a meeting talking about, an investors call, talking about what the heck is going on in the company. And I believe this is Zaslav who says, "We have done a reset. We've structured the business. There's a team with a 10-year plan focusing just on DC. It's very similar to the structure that Alan Horn and Bob Iger put together very effectively with Kevin Feige at Disney." So basically talking about having a long-term sustainable growth business at a DCEU. And, at first I was a little outraged by the 10-year plan, because I was like, trying to be like Disney, trying to copy the MCU again. But as I thought about it, I was like, okay, a 10-year plan, like realistically, it goes by really quick, especially with, how productions happen, how much time it takes to edit, to film, to build up to something. So I think thinking ahead 10 years is fine. It's really not too far out, but I think my problem is them trying to focus and be, again, just like the MCU, which is kind of weird, right? It's feeling like deja vu, because after, around Justice League, right? It was like, okay, that didn't work. Let's try to do it again, and let's do it differently this time. And now all of a sudden, that's not good enough either. I really did think that DC was starting to find their stride. Like, I like Joker, I've said. I've liked Suicide Squad, and I like Peacemaker, and I like the Batman. And so it's kind of just this, it's been like a hodgepodge of things going on that makes the DCEU stand out, or at least just DC films in general, which, I don't know, I've just found that kind of having these little standalone moments really helps. And at this rate, I'm going to be honest, looking at the MCU as kind of a blueprint or a roadmap at this point is in and of itself kind of, I don't know, to me it seems a little lagging behind, because MCU themselves, while they have it together and they've had it together much better than DCEU, now they're becoming a bit of a, dare I say, train wreck as well, only because we're starting to really see this conversation about superhero fatigue come up, and where is phase 4 going, and why are these movies not as good as, in phase 4 as they were in phase 3. So it's not to say phase 4 has been awful, right? It's had some good things, it's had some bad things, but it's reached this kind of tipping point within the MCU where I'm like, I don't think you want to be over there in that space, DC. I think you want to, have a plan, but don't just try to copy and paste what Marvel did, because it feels like when they tried to do that with Justice League, right? Let's just do Wonder Woman. No, I think, Batman v Superman, regular Superman. Let's just jump to Justice League movie. It felt rushed. They didn't know what they were doing. So I say this like, what can DC do? And I think it is to just kind of focus on telling, I hate to say this, and I don't know if it's necessarily the right thing to do, but focusing on standalone films, focusing on kind of, I think, giving the characters chances to develop, right? Giving them time to just like let us enjoy who these characters are, because I'll probably sing day in and day out that like Batfleck, I think, has really great potential. I love Pattinson. I think Batfleck really had great potential. Ben Affleck played him really well, but at the same time, I felt like I wasn't given enough of him in that universe. Henry Cavill Superman, I didn't really like his characterization, but had he had time, maybe we could have gotten a little bit better. So I don't know. I think the thing that just scares me the most is them saying this is another reset. Like, okay, now we've built up and we've built up again, and now we've got to go back and build all up again. The only thing that I do agree with right now is that they're moving forward with the Joker movie, and Lady Gaga is confirmed, and it's going to be a musical, and I just think that's going to be a whole lot of wacky, crazy, hootin' tootin' fun. And if it isn't, then so be it. At least they experimented and they tried something different. And if Gaga is Harley Quinn, I would really love to see that. I love Margot Robbie, but if Gaga can pull it off. So yeah, it just seems like a whole bag of cats over there at DC. It seems like Hollywood Reporter was talking about how that whole reset thing kind of shook up a lot of people internally, and especially the whole Batgirl thing. Hollywood Reporter says the remarks were not well received inside DC, according to multiple insiders who used the same word to describe members of the film division as pissed. And DC Films president Walter Hamada nearly exited after learning of the shelving of Batgirl, before being convinced to stay on at least until October 21st release of Black Adam. And apparently there's a new post-credits scene with a new element to Johnson's place in the DC universe, which might not even matter at this point. I mean, at that, on top of the whole stuff about, it's like, where's Henry Cavill? Is he coming back as Superman? And, I guess the good thing is that we've seen Ben Affleck is coming back to Aquaman 2, but the whole thing is like, okay, well, what's going to happen after Aquaman 2? Are we going to, step back and reset that, and now all of a sudden that stuff doesn't matter anymore? Or I don't know, just a lot of questions swirling in my head. And overall, I would just say, I don't know, man, Warner Brothers, I'm a little concerned for them, and the fact that you've got someone coming over from Discovery where all they know pretty much is, or all they've at least been successful with, is these unscripted shows, these reality shows, the 90 Day Fiance universe, all the ghost hunting shows and things like that. So it's like, is this really the best person to be putting in place at this kind of legacy movie studio, right? And the whole other thing that I saw, and I don't know if this would ever happen, but it's like, is Warner Discovery going to auction off DC Comics? And that's going to be really crazy if that were to be a possibility, just because of how long DC and Warner Brothers have been tied together. So I don't know how that would happen, and there's really only a handful of studios that could take DC. I mean, clearly we can't have Disney touching DC. Sony, I think it's kind of out of their scope, mainly because they've still got a lot of the Spider-Verse stuff. The only studio that I could see having DC would be Universal. I think they still have the rights to the Hulk, but other than that, I think that maybe they could pull it off. Maybe they'll treat it with some care. Or something completely different is, what if Netflix were to assume the entire DC catalog? I don't know how I feel about that, but it would be interesting nonetheless. So yeah, that's what's been rumbling around in my mind. And I think, this is just DC, but Warner Media affects so much, right? You've got HBO, which we talk about, like Westworld, and we talk about House of Dragon, Game of Thrones. Like, how is that going to affect the upcoming slate of Game of Thrones programming? Or how is it going to affect the Wizarding World, right? What are they going to, keep your grimy hands off of Harry Potter, please, I beg you. And, I don't know, to what extent this would affect some of the other DC stuff out, like the Sandman, right? That's on Netflix, thank God. Or Sweet Tooth, that's also on Netflix, which was really, really cute. I really enjoyed that. So it all remains to be seen, and I'm curious to know what you guys think about DC Universe going forward, because it just seems so messy. And as messy as Phase 4 for Marvel has seemed, at least they still feel like they have some semblance of keeping it together. But this, I don't know, y'all. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed this discussion, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.